welcome to Growing in Grace, where we are growing in knowledge and growing in our families and our family life. And we would like for you to like, share, and subscribe this channel and with your family, your friends, your foes, whosoever will. We would love for them to be a part of this podcast. And today, we have a special subject today. Speaking of growing in grace, this couple is growing in their marriage. Now, this is
Brother Eric Jones.
Eric Jones and Sister
Anjelica Jones.
Formerly
Anjelica Murphy.
Yes. But this man came along and took you.
Yes, he did.
And so now you are Jones.
Yes.
And you took his name.
Yes, sir.
And so now you are becoming this one.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you're newlyweds.
Right.
So our conversation is about this newlywed life that you're living now.
Right.
You grew up, both of you, knowing the gospel and knowing
Absolutely.
things of the Word of God, and
Absolutely.
and you know some of things about marriage according to the Bible.
Right.
Yeah.
But now you are newlyweds, and you're learning from experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about your journey, your beginnings toward marriage, and then the beginning of your marriage.
Okay. So the beginning of marriage, I would say, we spent some time learning each other as kids. So we actually met at about 10 years old?
My mom said about 8.
Okay.
Really
Yeah.
about 8, but 10.
Yeah, but I remember about 10 years
Yeah.
old. And Minister Boyd actually had the Bible class in the dining hall. And I think that was the first time we actually were in the same room together.
At Lucas Temple.
Yeah, at Lucas Temple.
I see.
Because we were staying in Columbus, Georgia, traveling 2 hours up to Lucas Temple.
I
And
got
Minister
Because your
Boyd,
dad was in the military at the time.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for some reason, she just caught my eye. And
At 10?
at 10.
Wow.
At 10, and I didn't really know what that was about, but I just knew I like looking at her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
She was fun to
She was
look
pleasant to the eyes.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Good on the eyes. Okay.
And even at that age,
Uh-huh.
I knew that that's who I wanted to marry.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that meant,
Yeah.
but even just at that age, I was like, oh yeah, like that's one that I'm gonna get with. That's the one, you know. And over the course of time, you know, we didn't really say much to each other, anything really. Did we talk at all?
No, it seemed like we started texting before we really started talking in person.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't even know how I got your number, to be honest.
Right.
I probably shouldn't have had it. To be honest, yeah, I probably shouldn't have had it, definitely. But so we got to talking and texting and building a relationship. It's the truth. It's the truth. But we just got to talking and building a relationship, and even after texting, for some reason, we never in person really talked like that. And it's probably because of me. I was probably just nervous, and
Yeah.
she was
Shy.
too
Yeah.
shy.
Yeah.
And I remember, where was that place that we went to go eat?
Mother Louise.
Her restaurant.
Yeah.
When she had the restaurant in Atlanta.
Yes.
I see.
And so our family went with her family to a restaurant.
Oh my
And
God.
Did you orchestrate that?
I didn't.
It just happened
It
that
just
way.
happened, and it was the most terrifying
Oh my God.
dinner I've ever had in my
Yes.
life. And we didn't speak then either. Just looking
Just
at each
look.
other across from the table, just looking,
Yes.
and nobody saying nothing.
Okay.
I'm like-
Could you even eat?
I don't
I
think I
couldn't.
ate. I don't remember what I ate.
I couldn't eat.
You couldn't eat
I
either?
could
No.
not eat.
So wait a minute. Let's back up a little bit. So I know he said that you were pleasant to his eyes. So was he pleasant to your eyes early on too?
Yes.
Oh.
So my mom noticed, like I said, she said around 8 years old. I can remember from of course, maybe 10, 11, a little older. But I still remember my first time seeing him. His dad walked in first, and then his mom, and then Britton, his sister. My family used to sit on the right-hand side of the church in Lucas Temple, and his family used to sit on the left-hand side. And I remember just looking across the room, and then I saw him. He came in last. And I remember saying, like, who is that? Like, he just really caught my attention like no one else has ever caught my attention. And from then on, I guess, been looking.
Yes, I see.
Yeah.
She made it sound pretty. What she told me was, when I was coming around the corner, I came first, and then the back of my head came after. Cause I had a big head. And she was being nice, but but apparently she liked it.
What's that? Who is that?
Right.
Who's that big head fella?
That's true.
Yeah, and so over the course of years, we would text and talk.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the first conversation we had, we went to a restaurant. And not together, me and my family went to a restaurant. And we were staying for the second service. That's when we used to have night service at Lucas Temple. And I didn't eat all my food. And she said she was hungry. Well, I said, if she's hungry, I got all this food, I'm going to bring it to her, right? And so that was the first time we actually talked. I made sure I didn't eat all of my food. Like, I left pretty much a lot. And my parents were like, are you okay? Because they know me, you know.
They know you used to taking it down.
Eat, you know? And so I took a plate of food to her at that gate right there. And that's the first time we actually had an interaction. And I don't know if she actually ate the food. I'd be surprised.
I think I went right inside the house and ate it.
You shouldn't have ate it.
Okay.
Yeah. I was so happy.
Yeah, you shouldn't have
I
ate
was
it.
so happy.
Yeah.
But after that, we kind of we actually moved to Savannah because my dad got restationed, and we're still texting, but over time, you know, just kind of disconnected and everything.
Yes.
And I think we got back connected when I was in college.
Yes.
And yeah, were you in school?
I was in school.
Okay, so yeah, we were both in school. I was at Valdosta State, and you were at
Georgia Perimeter, I believe.
Georgia Perimeter. Okay, and we started to communicate, and I came to see you a few times.
Yes.
And when I came to see her, that's when we actually started to have conversations. And she was nothing like I thought she was. Because I thought she was just, you know, I thought she was this thing. But when I got to talk to her, she was a person. And so I figured we had so much in common, but we also had so much that was different.
Yeah.
And that was one thing at the beginning I didn't know if I liked, because I thought, oh, it's just going to be so perfect. And next thing you know, we arguing, and I think I would argue with, you know, and, you know. And so over time, even with that, we disconnected again. And eventually I moved up to Kennesaw to go to school. And we got connected at the church and everything, and just kind of talking. And there was some times where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. And that actually caused us to separate. Right before we got married, we had a separation, and a serious separation. You want to talk about that?
I can. So, as he mentioned, we were, after college and everything, I decided to get my life back on track. And I was always just very interested in him, regardless of, you know, the situation. Even if we dated different people, it was always just something about him that was different, that I was attracted to, and that I saw that was different from everybody else. But even in that, when I decided to get my life back together, like you said, we did spend time together, but I noticed his actions weren't lining up with what we've been taught. And it's like, okay, you know, I really do like you, I am interested, but that's not where I'm trying to go. And he was letting me know that he was interested, because we just wasn't on the same page at the time. We met up, and I think so we had two different plans when we met up this time. He was meeting up so we can hang out. I was meeting up to let him know we need to take a break. I'm serious, and I'm serious about my walk.
Right.
And that this just isn't working for me right now. So it was a big letdown for the both of us, because it did hurt me as it did him. But I had my head straight on where I wanted to go.
Right. And it sounds like you were coming to the position of where you wanted to put God before the relationship.
Yes.
Which is a situation where some people they put the relationship above God.
Right.
And so you wanted to honor God with all of your life. And even the choice for your husband,
Right.
and you wanted your husband to be on the same page with God,
Yes.
and to be a head that God would honor,
Right.
and so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. In fact, it sounds like it benefited the both of you in that you were holding to the standard of God, even though you were at a different place at the time. But by you holding and say, I'm gonna honor God now. I'm gonna honor God now. That did something for you.
Oh, it made me I felt a certain type of way. And I really felt like, okay, maybe she thinks she's better than me because we're at the same church. We're both going to Words of Life. We both grew up in this way. And now she's telling me that we can't be together. Not because she don't like me, but because she doesn't think that I'm on the same journey and that she even needs time to grow herself. And so I'm like, okay, why we can't do that together, right? But now I see my mom was just in the wrong space. And at that time, I still kept coming, to church and still was, hearing the word. But it was a certain point in time where it hurt me so bad that some people, they're like, oh, that's what she wants, that's what I'll do. But I was like, I don't really want to. If she thinks she's better than me, then that's just what she's gonna do. And so I wouldn't really even talk to her. Like in passing, I just be like, hey, real dry. But then over that course of time, I started to actually hear the word because I was still coming. And at one point in time, I actually was considering coming to Lucas Temple. I think that's right when you became the pastor of Lucas Temple, around that same time, because I didn't want to see her at church. I didn't. I said, okay, I'm going to see her family, her mom, everybody, every Sunday, every Wednesday. I don't think I could do it. But something just said, just keep coming back, because the word I was hearing, it was making me, it was building something in me. And so it kept drawing me. And eventually I ended up stepping out and really taking this walk serious. And we ended up reconnecting somehow, and everything was different. It was a major difference. The conversations, just the relationship that we had, it wasn't so worldly. It was spiritual.
Yes.
And then we started coming to Monday night services and Wednesday night services. And Minister Pullen had a singles meeting. And so we would get on the singles meeting. And then sometimes we would hang out and we would want to go to the movies, but it's like, instead of going to the movies, let's just listen in on the singles meeting. Let's not make any dates on the night of the singles meeting. And we started talking about what we heard at church. And one thing I always noticed was we never disagreed with what was taught. It was never like, what you think about that? Well, I don't know. But it was always, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. And over the course of time, I believe we both began to grow. And at that time, it's like, okay, I don't want a girlfriend anymore. I want a wife. And so we still had our issues coming up to that too. But it was always, okay, church is first for both of us. And so that always set things together. And I ended up having a conversation with her mom before we got married. And a lot of the problems that we were having before I had that conversation with her mom, it's because I didn't really know who she was. And her mom actually, we rode around for a while, and she just talked to me about her. And she explained some things. And I also got confirmation from my pastor, and I got confirmation from Elder Robinson, my former pastor before that. And everybody had positive things. And so I found comfort in knowing that the spiritual people that I respect also saw something in her, and that if we get together, it'll be okay. And I think after that, I was ready. To
You're
go.
ready.
I was ready. I'm like, what are we doing since 10 years old? Like this is. It all started coming back, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so this has been a long
It's
journey.
been a long.
It's been rocky.
Yeah, it's been rocky. It's been very rocky. But and then proposed, and one funny thing we were thinking about our the day we wanted to get married, and so we were like, maybe we can get married during the summer. It's like, nah, that's too long, because I proposed in December.
Ooh, yeah.
December. Her birthday is December 20th. I proposed on the 18th. And we were thinking about times, and so it was like, well, maybe we can do this the summer. I was like, man, we can't wait that long.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just give it a few months just for everybody to get ready. And we was like, well, we ain't gonna wait on everybody else.
Yeah.
And then we were saying, okay, Valentine's Day, it's a beautiful time. And that wasn't good. So we like, we need to get married now. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get married now. And that we actually got married on the 29th of January.
Oh,
so
yeah.
a month.
So about a month, a little over a month.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little over a month. I it's something about that, though. My wife and I, we didn't wait a long time to get married either. And I know to each his own.
Absolutely.
But if I was advising a couple, I would advise against a long engagement. I just...
Yes.
Here's the thing. Once you know,
Right.
it's sometimes it takes some time to get to know.
Right.
To say, hey, yeah, this is the one I want.
Right.
But once you know,
Oh,
then you kind of really want them, because now you know you want them, and you've made the proposal and it's been accepted. It's like, now what's holding me back?
yeah.
This wedding. I mean,
And you
oh
gotta
my
be
goodness.
very careful spending time together, because
Yeah.
you're viewing that person as your
your
future spouse. Like
Right.
it's just a matter of time at this point. And so waiting wasn't. It was not in our plans. That's not something we were able to do.
And the other thing I'll say about it is this too. I know that sometimes people are looking for the glorious wedding,
Right.
and I think that sometimes people
Oh yeah.
how do I say it? They do the overkill.
Yes.
But it seems as though y'all had a glorious wedding, but on the financial side, it probably wasn't overkill.
No,
It was
sir.
And sometimes I think that sometimes the expense, that you don't get the added benefit for all of the expense that sometimes people put into it.
Right.
And I think y'all had a budget friendly wedding,
Yes.
but it was creative and it was actually wonderful. Y'all actually transformed the church and the atmosphere and all of that. It was very creative, and it was very different, and it seemed unique and something that you'll probably remember for a long time. Probably as long as you have a memory. Hopefully you'll keep it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But we actually got advice about the whole marriage budget and everything, because I had a plan. I said, okay, I need this amount of money. I gotta have this type of place. We gotta do this.
It was out there too.
Oh, it was fun, because I'm like, okay, I need to save. I got a savings plan.
Yeah.
And we sat down with actually Minister Barry and Calandra, and they were talking to us about their situation, and we told them our plan. And they laughed in our face. They said, y'all ain't never gonna get married based off of the amount of money. Y'all ain't never gonna get married. And we were sitting in the car after that meeting, and we were just like, what are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing?
Right.
And at that point in time, it was just like, that doesn't matter. We can use those resources after when we're together. But right now, let's just get it done the right way. And not focus on the day.
Yes.
Let's focus on the after. And I think we made a good decision.
We definitely did.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're happy.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Financially happy.
Yeah.
Relationally happy.
Yeah.
Happy with God.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. So, all right. So the day come. What day was that? What day was that?
That's for you.
January 29th.
January 29th. What year?
2022.
2022. January 29th, 2022. So you just celebrated 1 year.
Yes.
And so now you're about a year coming up on a half. What do you say? Like little baby, about almost 18 months. Almost 18 months old. Hey, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. But here's the thing. You got the wedding. You got the reception. You got the honeymoon. And now you're in life.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So how is it now? What do you see about married life after being in it, almost 18 months?
Yeah. For me, I would say, I don't think marriage is like anything that I thought it would be. I had this idea, and then I got into it, and I was like, whoa, this is different. But we had a lot of counseling before we got married. And one of the biggest things was, having an open mind about it. It may not be what you think or what you want, but it can still be beautiful. And, at first it was like, okay, this is... when you first get, it's strange, isn't it?
Everything is different.
Everything is different.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, down to what's in the fridge, down to the way we do everything.
Yeah.
And so, it was a lot of learning at first, and even now, learning that, okay, she likes things this way, and I like things that way.
Yeah.
And just because I like them that way don't mean that's the only way. And that's something that I'm still working with and learning. I think we both are.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I understand. I just celebrated this past weekend, May 6th, 28 years.
That's wonderful.
28 years, and so, and so, I was a preacher before I got married.
Right.
So scriptures and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know scriptures.
Yeah.
You know scriptures. But here's the thing. Once you get in that marriage, now the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's not just a scripture you quoting. It's something you got to do.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's something you got to do. And so application is oftentimes different. It rolls a little different than what you just quote and rolling off your tongue.
Absolutely.
And so you learn how to do that.
Absolutely.
Learn how to, what it means for, say, husband love your wife. Well, you ain't never had a wife.
Absolutely.
You don't fully know what that means.
Absolutely.
Wife, it says to the aged women to teach the young women to love their husbands and love their children. And some just young lady like yourself say, "Well, I already love him.
Right.
That's why we got married. I loved him already." And so then, well, why does aged woman got to tell me how to love my husband? Well, the situation is, it's some know-how to that.
Yeah.
It's some technique to it. It's not just about a feeling. It's about some duties that has to be performed. And, and some know-how, and some adjustments that you got to make in your life.
Right.
To love your wife and to love your husband. So what surprises did you have, sister?
As you mentioned, you think you already know because you've seen other people, but you really see the outside. And when you actually get into it, I guess it was surprising, like, okay, I thought because we can finish each other's sentences and we laugh at the same things, then submission would be easy and it would be a breeze. But it's not. It takes power to be able to be submissive to him. And for me, it caught me off guard because, like you said, I thought, okay, I have this. I can listen to my pastor. I, follow instructions, how I'm supposed to and this and that. But it takes power to do what you think already know how to do. But it's beautiful once you take the instructions and apply them. It's not. It doesn't have to be tedious. Learning, yes, it can be because you can become frustrated and things of that nature. But once you, I guess, get self out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And as Elder Stacy says, to expect difficulties and just try not to do it because it's hard. Do it anyways, and just trust God. So I think that was a surprise for me because I've always been like the good child and willing to follow and things of that nature, but it wasn't easy, and it wasn't because he's a bad head or because what he was saying was wrong. It was because I had my own opinions.
Yeah.
And things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
You're a woman.
Yes,
You're a woman.
yes.
I mean, it's different.
Yes.
It really is different because even though you were probably one of the obedient children,
Right.
you was one of the obedient Murphys.
Yes.
One of the dear children.
Right.
And so you're thinking, well, okay, I know submissiveness. I've been that way with my mom and what have you. And say,
Right.
but now I'll just transfer that to. But you're not a girl,
Right.
and you're 20 plus.
Yes.
When you got married.
Yes.
And so then you begin to have your ways and your
Yes.
thinking that's actually mature now.
Right.
It's like you're not like a kid. You're kind of amiable. You're changeable. You
Right.
can maneuver here and there.
yeah.
You don't know certain things, but as an adult, you have a knowing,
Right.
and you have a way,
Right.
and your way is not necessarily wrong, especially when you come into marriage.
Yes.
And so now you have this head.
Right.
What? Why? And here's the thing. Here's the other thing. You're different families.
Yes.
And one of the advice, the advice that I received from my grandfather was, okay, now Jeffries and the Holmes. My wife Maiden was home, and so Jeffries and Holmes. Now you got to learn each other, because you come from different backgrounds, and now you're coming in to be one.
Right.
And so the Jeffries got away. The Holmes got away. All right, for yourselves. Okay, the Jones has a way, and the Murphy has a way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now that's got to become it has to merge into something new.
Yes.
It's a new way now, because here's the other thing. So Jones and Murphy, it's not going to be all Jones.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not going to be all Murphy.
Right.
It's going to be something new,
Yes.
Yeah.
and two become one.
Yes.
And I think trying to figure that out is the interesting part.
Yeah.
Because you think it's just gonna be easy,
Uh-huh.
and you think certain things aren't really gonna matter to you. Or, no, I'm not gonna care about that. But when you're in the situation, it's like, hold on,
Yeah.
Hold on a minute.
we don't
now.
do that.
We don't do
But
that.
they do that, It's like, but you're learning. And one thing that I learned is just because you learn something, you can't stop learning because it can change. So like before, when we first got married, certain things I would say and do, I would get one response. But now, okay, being married almost a year and a half, that may not work anymore because now she's a little different and I'm a little different. The things that matter to her then don't matter anymore. And some things matter even more.
Yes.
And I'm learning that, and it's like, okay, and I think we were talking about this a while ago too, but the word helps because we can apply everything, and every situation that's friction, we can look at the word and say, okay, does it align with this?
Yes.
So if it aligns with that don't mean it's wrong. We just got to figure it out. But if it doesn't align, then that's just
it's out.
Yes.
And I think we have this no compromise in our house. And it's not even a saying that we use. It's just a thing.
Lifestyle.
Like it's like certain things we're just not gonna do. Certain conversations we just are not gonna have. And it's not like, hey, like, let's not do this. It's just like we just know like that's the standard that we both have and brought to the house. And I could say one thing, I appreciate the fact that we both were raised in the truth, but more importantly, we believe the same thing and live the truth.
Yes.
It makes our walk so much easier
Yes.
because there's certain things where I'm like, wow, like if we weren't in this way, I don't know what we would do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it gives us comfort. And sometimes there'll be situations where I don't know what to say to make her feel better or to solve this. But it's, you know, when you have the word, it helps you in those areas a lot.
It can guide you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a wonderful way. And that's the other thing about, you know, not to get off of the subject, it's actually a part of the subject, holiness.
Oh yeah.
It's the way of life.
Yes.
It's not a religion.
Right.
It's not a religion.
Right.
It's who we become.
Absolutely.
And like the Bible says, be holy.
Yeah.
So then in all manner of conversation, so in another way of saying that is in every walk of your life.
Right.
So now, you know, you're not just a holy man, you are a husband.
Absolutely.
So now holiness comes into your marriage.
Absolutely.
And it's wonderful when a man and his wife are on the same journey
Absolutely.
of holiness.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then when children come into play, then it's more likely that those children are going to be clean, holy children because you're in sync with holiness.
Absolutely.
And it's not what you do at church.
Yeah.
It's what you do at church, in the car,
Yes.
in the house,
Right.
on the job, you know, and all in between. You're on vacation. It's
Absolutely.
holy. It's who you are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's be holy.
Absolutely.
It's not a religion. It's something you all together join. It's something that you become.
Yes.
And it sounds like you've put that even in your newlywed life.
Oh
Had
yeah.
to.
Holiness.
You had to.
There was no option.
Yeah.
I don't see how we would not do it.
Yes.
And I will say another thing. It's interesting us both knowing the truth
Yes.
because you hear the word and it could be a situation y'all just were going through. And the preacher's preaching on it.
Yeah.
And you feel like, you know,
That little
feel the
tingle in
heat.
the back of your
Like,
neck.
oh my. And I know that she heard it too. And so she know the heat is on me today. Oh my. And when it's on her and you just smiling. It's interesting. And I don't think people really talk about that. But it's interesting. Even going back to the house and having certain points of friction.
Yes.
There's another layer to it because it's like, okay, I may feel like she's not doing something and I know that she knows the word, or she may feel like I'm not doing something and she knows that I know the word. And it may not be that she's not doing it, but sometimes, you know, especially early on, it was like, well, she knows she's supposed to do that because, you know, you may not say it, but you're thinking it.
You're thinking it, yeah.
And it make the situation a little more heavy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, you're not just supposed to listen to me because that's what the Bible says, not just because I told you that.
Yeah.
You may not say it, but you know that. And I think like taking time to get out of that space and say, okay, I need to focus on me.
Yes.
Because I feel like at the beginning we were really kind of focusing on
Each other.
oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Yeah, Eric, now you know. Yeah, Angelica, now you know.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
That was so easy.
Now
to
come
do.
on now.
Oh my goodness.
That's so easy to do.
Yes.
But I've realized focusing on him doesn't help me. It doesn't help my frustration with what he's doing. It doesn't help my mindset of how I'm dealing with it. But once I said, okay, that's what he's doing, I'm going to focus on me. And then that's when I started to see the change. And even if the change didn't happen either as soon or exactly how I wanted it to, I was able to think of it differently and deal with it differently. And eventually, everything would be different.
Yes.
And more than likely, something we're both happy with.
Yes. Yes. Because some of it is you coping
Yes.
with what's going on.
Yes.
And you stand in your right place with God and in marriage and vice versa,
Yes.
really. But really, you focus on your job.
Yes.
And it would say mind your own business.
Right?
Mind your own business.
Yes.
Yeah, mind your own business, because here's something else I would like to interject, and you probably already know this, but I'll say it anyway. When you stand before God, it's not a scenario where you could say, well, Lord, I did this because of Eric.
Yes.
Or, well, Lord, I did this because of Angelica. You know, Adam already tested that out.
Right.
And it didn't work out well for none of them.
Right.
Because everybody had their thing that they had to bear.
Yes.
You know, in the beginning, Adam, he hearkened to the voice of his wife, who had hearkened to the voice of Satan, the serpent, and at the end they tried to blame all, my wife. And then she said to the serpent,
Right.
and serpent, he was smart enough not to say nothing, and the Lord just went backwards in punishment. Okay, serpent. Okay, woman. Okay, man.
Yes.
Everybody got their just
Yes.
reward. And in reality, if we in marriage really focus on our role, then we're going to get the better out of the marriage. There was a time in my own marriage where, things were going in a way I didn't like. And, my wife was treating me in a way I upset on that.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? I found out that part of that was, it was real, but it was my fault.
Oh, yeah.
Like when we was in school, cause and effect.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
I was causing the effect.
Yeah.
I was causing my
That's just made me
own
think
problem.
about
I was
that.
having a real problem,
Yes.
but I was causing some of it myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I saw myself,
Yes.
I was able to make an adjustment for myself.
Right.
Absolutely.
And in doing so, it changed the whole thing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It changed the whole thing.
Absolutely. And that's
So-
something that I'm learning still.
Uh-huh.
Because sometimes, especially, maybe this is just how I am, I'm a fixer. And so I want to have my hands on, oh, there's a problem. Okay, what can I do?
Yeah.
Sometimes fixing it is not, it makes it worse. And, and it may not even be a problem, but I think it's one. So I'm trying to fix that too. Because in my mind, but, I think giving each other some room to grow and not being so like, hey, you're doing that wrong. Maybe that's not wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way,
Yeah.
And so I that's something that I'm learning. And I will say this too, like, a lot of people think that we don't have problems. And they just see us and like, oh, they always happy and stuff. There's times we come to church and we're not happy with each other. And we sitting right next to each other. And to be honest, I don't want to sit next to her. Realistically, sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
True.
I think one thing we learned is not letting other people in our space.
Yes.
Even family, telling them everything. That's
Yes.
something that we'll learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fewer people you involve,
yeah.
the easier it is to come back together and heal. The fewer people you involve. And I won't say to you that there's never a time to get some help, but you don't want a lot of help.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want too many people to, and you want to manage the information that flows from your marriage. And the fewer people that you involve, the easier it is to reconcile and to make things right again.
Absolutely.
Yes, you don't have this voice and that voice, and you're not listening to the person that's there that knows what's going on.
Yes.
And especially having to submit, it's like once you make a decision about something or sees it one way, just relax and just kind of go with it. And a big thing I would suggest people women or wives to do is to build up their prayer life. Because when you get married, as you were saying, you go through things, and sometimes you can't talk to other people about it because he's in the marriage too, and it's his say so if he wants it out there or not, regardless of who it may be. So build your relationship and your prayer life with God so that He can lead you on how to deal with your spouse and with that situation. And another thing that you were talking about, as far as with your wife and how you had to change yourself, I can attest to that because I was putting my insecurities on him. And it makes me laugh now because as we know, we live in a world where people don't have we're women, well, I could say people, I guess, but in our situation where women don't wear clothes. And for me, it's just like, okay, well, I feel like you look that way. Why did you look at her and this and that? But I laugh because listening to Bishop, he said his wife used to do the same thing. And he said, well, I'm looking because she don't have clothes
She don't
on.
have no clothes.
And I found comfort in understanding that my husband is saved and he has eyes So he's going to see it, and I can't get upset with him for seeing something that someone else has put out there. I need to focus on myself and realize, okay, we're saved. That's what they have on. He's not lusting, or I don't see him like second looking. It's just the first look because we're walking in that direction. So it's not like he's turning back. So as you mentioned, it really is a self thing because I really felt bad for putting my insecurities on him. But you know, understanding who and whose I am is also what makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think a big part about just my portion of that is it wasn't like that's her thing that she got to deal with. And at first it was. And it's like, okay, that's, you know, I'm not doing this, that. It's like, well, you know, how can I help?
Yes.
Instead of like, you know, you figure it out, I'm gonna pray for you.
That's on you.
Yeah, that's on you. Like, no, that's our thing because this is our
yes.
relationship.
Right.
And this is something we need to work on. So maybe what can I do to help? Maybe I need to do this instead. Or maybe I need to have this type of conversation. And, you know, just making her problem not just her problem or my problem just our problem is something that is ours. And we can also use scriptures and use, you know, our pastor and different things to overcome some of these situations.
Right.
Because you never know when one of those are going to come around the corner anyway. So you need those tools because as soon as, for some reason, it's like as soon as you get up and testify and say, I thank God for my wife. And that's when the trial, like the next day, it's like,
do you really thank God for her?
Oh
do you thank God for it now?
yeah.
What about now?
Yeah, oh my goodness. It could be the same day.
Yeah.
And that test is coming.
Yeah.
And just having that mindset of like, okay, I know it's around the corner. How can we be better prepared?
Better prepared, yeah.
And I think that's something that we're still growing in.
Yeah.
And it's not bad. That's one thing I would say too.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people when they talk about marriage, it's like, oh my goodness, you sure you're ready for that? It is work, and it has its stuff, its baggage, its whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be bad.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's things you have to work through. One of the problems sometimes that a marriage has is really actually the only problem with a marriage is the people that's in it.
That's true.
And how they manage it.
Yes.
And how they manage it. You understand? So if a man goes into the marriage with the wrong mind, then that can cause a bad marriage. If the woman does it, or if both of them does it. If one of them does it, it's going to be a little rough. But if both go into it with the right mindset, and you can work through issues, which will arise.
Right.
Which will arise. Don't even worry about whether they're going to arise or not. Which will arise.
Right.
Because time you come in that house and y'all start living together,
Yes.
and go to brush your teeth,
Yeah.
and one of you wanted a tube, they wanted to push the tube up, and one of them squeeze it in the middle.
Yeah.
One of them believe the toothbrush go here, and so one of them think it should go there. And, it's just so many different things when you come into the same space together, and you have to reconcile all those things. But here's the thing: marriage should not be put on autopilot. It should actually continue to have a driver.
Yes.
And the chief driver is you really need God to help you.
Yes.
And if he's the co-pilot and you're in the driver's seat and he's on the passenger side, y'all probably about to wreck.
Right. For sure.
He said, God is my co-pilot. He said, and you drive and you got the steering wheel. You probably need to let him drive.
Yes.
That's true.
And let him direct.
Yes.
And help you with what to say, what not to say, when to talk, when not to talk.
Yes.
And have grace in your marriage.
Right.
Have grace in your marriage. And I'll just share that with you. Just like y'all was just talking a little earlier, how when you first started, it's like, Eric should be doing this. He's supposed to be doing that. And I know Angelica know better about this.
Oh, yeah.
I know her mom. And I just know she knows. From when we was little kids. And she heard from Mother Jeffries and all the mothers. And she's supposed to know this. I know she know it.
Right.
But here's the thing. Grace.
Yes.
Which is what you want. Which is what you need.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yeah.
Because you've got to grow and you develop. And just like a babe, you don't expect a baby to know everything.
That's true.
You wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you got to think about it. We're newlyweds. What are we?
Babies.
We're babies. We're 18 months.
Oh, my goodness. We don't know nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
We're 18 months. We're learning. We're growing. We know how to talk now a little bit.
A little bit.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I do want to encourage you that it is a process.
Yes.
It's a process. And, you've grown from 18 months. And imagine the next 18 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine, 10 years from now. You can only imagine.
Right.
And here's the beautiful thing about marriage is that you, as long as God allows you to live according to your vows,
Right.
until death do you part.
Yeah.
And we pray that that's a long way off.
Yes.
And if it's so, then all that growth
Yes.
and all that maturing and meshing into one another, you're going to become more one as time goes along than you've become in these 18 months.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And you got some great things to look forward to, especially as you grow in the Word and grow together in grace
Yes.
and knowledge of God.
I said this, just a warning to those other newlyweds. I think, especially if you're in the truth and you know the truth, there will be situations where y'all will have, arguments and things, and the devil will try to make it seem like that's a sin or like that person's your enemy. And even you'll be sitting in church and you hear the preacher talking and he's like, he talking about her, and it just make it seem like it's a sin, but it's just because you have arguments doesn't mean it's a sin or a confrontation. Now, how you have those, that can be
how you have it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but just if you go into it, like you said, knowing that you're gonna have things are gonna come up, is helpful, and you really have to be on the same team with everything.
Yes.
It can't be, well, I'm gonna do this because it's not about you. Every decision you make affects both of y'all on both sides. And I think that's something that, for me early on, was something I had to battle with as far as, I feel like she's doing this and the devil just kind of make you feel like, well, is she saved? Is she doing what she's, because she's not. And it's something that you really have to, like you said, it's a fight and it's something that you have to work on. You can't be on autopilot because as soon as you take the hands off the wheel, here's the next thing that came to try to destroy your marriage. And I think that's something that, I feel like we've had some attacks where our marriage was trying to be destroyed from outside things.
Yes.
And I feel like because we're in the truth and because we obey the truth, we have protection. And I think it's so important to have protection.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yeah.
I think it's very important to know who you're going to spend the rest of your life with because it matters. I would suggest if someone is dating and they're wanting to get married to the person and you know the truth, align what they're doing to what you already know. Because I feel like a lot of the times we can filter because we like them or because we love them, we look past what they're doing. And I would also suggest to grow in grace because I feel like I could have done a little better even in the situation that we talked about before. I could have allowed him to go and grow in grace, but you know the word. Don't cover it up. Be real. Be honest, because once you're with that person, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you're going to be a wife,
Mm-hmm.
you have to listen to your head.
Mm-hmm.
And that matters. Were you going to say something?
Choose your head wisely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
To a female, to a woman,
Yes.
this getting ready to be a wife, according to the scripture,
Yes.
it speaks about being subject to her husband, and the husband is the head of the wife. So before you say I do, you
Yes.
have an option as to whether you want to or not.
You
Yeah. Absolutely. You do.
So you need to figure out, is this a suitable head for me?
Yes.
Can I, is this person a thinker enough to where I will be willing to submit to this person as a wife?
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you agree with me?
I definitely agree.
that?
And I found I had to find comfort, as he said, from going to the pastor and knowing his family, knowing his background, things of that nature. But because of what I saw in my home as, I wouldn't say as the best example. So for me, it was nerve-wracking because I didn't realize how much of that had impacted me. And it was impacting our relationship at the time because I knew I wanted to marry him and be with him, but it was scary for me because I didn't want it to be, okay, 1 minute we're together in church, after we get married, it's something different. So I would say to talk to your pastor. And one thing that really comforted me, I asked Elder Stacy, what did he see in Eric? And he said, I don't see nothing as far as, anything wrong. And I was just, even though I had already had that comfort that he was going to be my husband, like I said, I didn't realize how much it had negatively impacted my life and how I saw things. So I would say to know the other person's family because what you see is also in that person that you're wanting to get married to, and to make sure they have accountability because they're going to more than likely, hopefully, tell you the truth about who that person is. So,
And I'll say, who that person is before you marry them,
yeah.
that's who they are.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you can't be expecting them to change.
Be somebody else.
No, that's them. And it's gonna be
And
more of it.
All day.
It's gonna be more.
Well, here's the
day,
thing.
every day.
If
Yes.
I say this, that if they're showing you bad, it gets worse
It gets
Yes.
a lot worse.
because they're showing you the best.
Right.
Usually, I'll say usually, because people are different, but usually in the beginning, before you get married, the other person is showing you the best that they have.
Yes.
They're because they're trying to gain you, attract you, and so they're showing you the best. And so if you see a lot of problems with that, then
You might want to run.
Run for your life.
it has to be addressed.
Yes.
Especially
Oh, yes.
before you say I do or because there is a truth that people can change.
Yes.
That's a truth
yes.
all to itself.
Yes.
However, you need to be careful about that.
Yes.
To think that, okay, I'm going to marry him and change him.
No,
Be careful about that. Be
Yeah.
careful about that.
Oh my goodness.
But thanks be to God
Yes.
that you were having a little scenario,
Yes.
and as a couple, and you were going a little further along in your walk with God than your husband, your future husband,
Right.
at the time.
Yes.
Got in the unknown status at one time. Because he wasn't aligning as you were aligning to the word. He wasn't aligning at the same rate, and so you took a little break, and then a realignment came.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then next thing you know, now your whole conversation is changing, and you changed, and y'all was able to come back together
Right.
in alignment,
Yes.
Absolutely.
not only to each other but to the word,
Yes.
Absolutely.
which makes the difference.
You made it.
Which makes
all
the
of the
difference.
difference.
That's really one of the main. I don't know if I told you this, but one of the main reasons why I felt a lot of comfort in marrying her is because she always stuck to a certain standard
Yes.
with everything.
Yes.
And at first I didn't like it. Like, for example, I used to drive from Kennesaw to Atlanta to come see her. It'd be about a 45-minute drive, and I'm getting off work, and I say, hey, I'm gonna be over there around 6 o'clock. So I pull up at 6:05, and she's upset. I'm like, we live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm driving through 5 o'clock traffic to come see you, and I'm 5 minutes
It's
late.
like 6 o'clock.
I said, it's
6
because
o'clock.
I said 6. And so she was holding me to what I said. And I saw how important that was to her. And at first I didn't like it. But then as I became more spiritually minded and taking my walk serious, I'm like, I just can't be saying everything. And what I say matters. And so if I say I'm going to be there at 6, then I need to be there at 6 or call and say, hey, you know, and I respected that. And I respected how, you know, those times before we got back together, she wouldn't do certain things that I be trying to do. She just wasn't going for it. And I knew that she wasn't going to let anybody lead her. And when I saw that, I said, okay, this is a different type of woman. She's not going to let everybody in her house, you know. And that was one of the biggest things because, you know, I'm not going to say she wasn't a easy woman. And not easy like, oh, she's just so hard. But
I understand.
You had to come correct. And I knew anybody wasn't just going to be able to do that. And I that's one of the biggest things where I said, okay, you know, I can see myself spending the rest of my life with her and, you know, even growing a family together. Because if that's the standard she has now, when we have children, you know, Lord's willing, she's going to not withhold, but uphold that standard. And, you know, even to this day, you know, she still has a certain standard about things. She don't want to go out. Look, I might not care. I'm like, we don't have to dress like we ain't got, but she has a standard. And
Say, Eric, you can't wear them pants.
I can't wear them pants. And
No.
you know. And because I love her, I'm like, okay, you know, yeah, you're right. I might not care, but she cares, so I love her, and you know, but
It's something else, you know, and you belong to her.
Absolutely.
You know, my wife, she got on me before I came here today. And so now I got to go buy a new belt. You know, she said, you got to do something about that belt. She said, what's wrong with your belt? She said, you got to get you a new belt.
And it looked just fine to you, though.
So, but I'm starting to think about a new belt now.
Yeah.
You know, I go to work out, and I got some paint on my workout clothes. He says, you can't work out like that. I'm like, I'm just going to sweat. He said, okay, well, all right, let me get some more workout pants.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really respect for each other.
Absolutely.
And honoring each other. And you actually belong to each other. So we have to respect that.
Absolutely.
Our newlyweds, the Jones, beautiful couple, and we appreciate them for coming and sharing their newlywed story with us. They're just 18 months, y'all. They're babies.
18 months. That came by fast.
Well, just about 18 months.
Yeah.
I don't even think y'all's exactly 18 months yet.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
18 in July.
See? Don't you see?
Goodness.
Don't you see? So, we appreciate y'all coming to be with us today. Our Growing in Grace subscribers. We'd like for you to like, share, and subscribe, and share this with your neighbors and your friends and your foes and whosoever will. We appreciate you. We ask you to come back next week. God bless you.